All right, are we live? God bless you. This is Pastor Richardson coming to you. This is GracePlace, and we just having a sit down. This is Sunday night sit down. And I told you all, if you tuned in, we were going to have a good topic for you. So tonight we have, as you can see, I'm joined by some couples here, and then we have a couple that's all the way in Indiana. We're just going to go through and going to talk about marriage. So maybe you're coming out of a marriage, maybe you're thinking about getting married, maybe you're right in smack dab in the middle of a marriage. And so we just want you to we're just talking. This is not paid advice, so don't take it to heart. You take what you need and go on. But we are not professionals. We just talking, and hopefully we can help somebody. And so we're going to open with a word of prayer. Father God, we thank you, and we bless you, and we want you to have your way. Touch us right now, Lord. Let the words of our mouths and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in your sight. And we hope and pray that somebody is blessed by the conversation that takes place at this table. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Thank God. Thank God. Amen. 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 As you can see, we got some folks here tonight. Amen. It show is good. Hallelujah. And we're going to start over here. Over here to my right and probably your left, we got Deacon Eric and Sister Robin Butler. And y'all, how long y'all been married?
34 years.
34 years. Yeah, that was some pride. 34 years. Amen. And then over here to my left and probably your right, we have Deacon Art Quill and Sister Regina Sells, Evangelist Regina Sells. And how long have you all been married?
21 going on 22.
21 going on in August. Woo, in August. So it's coming up. Coronavirus or no coronavirus. That's right. It's coming up. And then you have yours truly, myself. I'm Pastor Richardson, and this is my lovely wife. Let me tell you all right now, y'all should take a picture of this. Amen, because she is here on camera with us. Amen. Amen. And of course, 26 years in September be 27, so we bless the Lord. And then all the way in the great state of Indiana. Amen. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Jasmine.
Hello, I'm Jasmine Davis Randolph, and this is Wesley Randolph, and we've been married 11 months.
All right. Amen. All right. So listen, we're going to just do a little bit of talking, and we got some questions that we're going to go through with you. And if you have any questions, feel free to type in your questions to Elder Ray. Elder Ray is manning the equipment, and Art Quill Senior Sales the second is also doing a wonderful job. Text in your questions, and we'll get to them as we go along. All right. So let's get to it. Our first question is this. Our first question:
if we love each other as God loves us, how would you describe love?
If we love each other as the way God loves us, how would you describe love? Well, I'll jump out there first. I think love is an action word, and you show love by doing, and you're consistent, and it's every day, it's constant, and you make sure that the person, you can tell them you love them, but what you do is what's going to matter. And my wife used to have a saying. She'd say, "I go off your past." In other words, what have you done for me lately? To make sure, amen, because love is an action word. So we're not just talking about material things, we're talking about intangible things. So, amen.
Yeah. And if I can add to that, Pastor, if we're going to love like Christ loved the church, love our spouses, we have to not people like wrongdoings. So we have to get it together, get an understanding, and forgive one another at the end of the day.
Amen. Amen. I'll give an assist. To also go on with that, in our relationship, I always had a saying. I would tell Regina early on, I can show you better than I can tell you. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you all day till I'm blue in the face. Mm-hmm. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. But my action speaks louder than my words. Yes. And so I can show you better than I can tell you. So if you really and truly love someone, you can show them love better than you can tell them. In more ways than you can tell them that you by showing.
Amen. Consistency.
Amen.
Amen. Consistency as well as God is always there for us.
When we reach for him, he reaches for us. And if you love someone, you got to be there for them. Even when you don't like what they want you to do, you got to be there for them.
I just want to add real quickly. I believe that, I know that God loves us through our good and our bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we in the flesh, we need to do better at loving one another in a marriage through the bad times too, through the difficult times.
That's true. That's true. I'll say this: you cannot have the love that you're looking for in your marriage if you don't have the Lord in the middle of your marriage.
Ooh, absolutely.
You have to have the Lord, because the Lord allows you to see yourself so that you can be better for your spouse. If you think you're the one that's always right or always have to be in control, something's wrong with that. Mm-hmm. And so, you have to have the Lord in the middle. Well, what is I want to hear what the young couple got to say all the way over there in Indiana.
I'll go, I guess. So I think that the way God loves us is through who we are at different stages. So as we grow, we're young. I'm 28, he's 27, or he's about to be 27. I know in 10 years we'll be different people, hopefully making more money, better jobs. And I think we have to love each other as we grow and change, just as God has loved us since we were in our mother's wombs to now.
Kind of speak a little bit more on that too. I think that also that it's going to be where like a lot of the unconditional aspects of it, a lot of the faith, a lot of the trust, kind of like definitely a lot of the things that you don't see. As you've all mentioned already, that it's just a lot of those behind the scene actions that goes into kind of loving your partner the way God loves all of us. I think it's one of the more beautiful qualities of it too.
Amen. Amen. Hallelujah.
Okay, our second question. I'm sorry, did everybody finish chiming in on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Our second question. With this quarantine, can you say that you love your spouse more than earlier in your marriage?
This quarantine.
With the quarantine, I have to say it has not decreased or increased because things for us haven't changed because of our job.
Amen.
I'm still up at the same time. She still goes to work. The time we don't see each other has not changed. Mm-hmm. My only concern is as she's at work, particularly with her job, I don't want nothing to rub off of them rubbing on her to hurt her. So I'm more concerned, but, I still love her the way she is. It is what it is. She has to go in there. She's a frontliner. She has to handle what has to be handled. And I just pray that nothing gets on her, nothing attacks her or moves her from her position.
That's good. That's good. That's
anyone else? The Richardsons.
The Richardsons.
I would say that love more than earlier in our marriage. I think we did see a major shift in terms of spending time underneath one another a lot more. We're both in education, and we battle over time on the computer because we both have to be online. But I wouldn't say love more. Definitely not love less. It's been quality time, and we did not have that as much because geographically we were separated most of the day. With the many jobs he had, and then I was going down to the valley, we were separated so much. So now, being here, you learn to make good of the situation that you're in. And when you love God and you understand that everything with him is for a reason and for purpose and for his glory, then you can focus on that. So with that, you take it as an opportunity to look at your marriage or to look at yourself or to look at, you're forced into a situation where you've got to look at those things. You can't go to work and I'll deal with that later. No, you're right there on each other. And I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a choice when you choose to decide to grow together. It's a choice.
The one thing I'm thankful for is I was always thankful for it, but during this pandemic, because I know there are people out there that don't have anyone.
Right.
But I'm thankful for every night, no matter what time it is, I know that my wife at some point during that night will be next to me. And that is awesome for me, to be able to have somebody that I trust. I trust my wife with everything. I trust her with everything. And so to know that she's going to be next to me, I'll be next to her. And, if the Lord delay is coming, we wake up. And I usually wake up first, but it's just good to be able to have somebody next to you that you can trust. And you just, you know that you're a team. You know that you're working together. You know that you're married. And you don't take that for granted. You don't take that lightly.
Amen.
The Randolphs.
Do you want to go? You can go first.
Sure, yeah. So I definitely think that it's everything has been able to give us a new perspective on really being in this relationship and then enduring difficult times. Practicing full transparency here, I actually experienced a layoff, like going in the first month of like the whole quarantine and everything. That's just one of many people in this country who's experienced it, and kind of like being in a new setting where it's like, okay, like my wife and I were under the same roof, like what seems like 24/7. Outside of like anytime we have to do like any grocery shopping or like exercises or anything like that. It's we're here together. We are able to talk a lot. We're able to vent to each other, kind of, and we don't really have the crutch of like, oh, like I'm at work. Then, like kind of like you said, Mrs. Richardson, just there is no putting it off till later or anything like that. It's really, really like right there, up close and personal. And kind of us being the newlyweds, I mean, it's really given us that crash course. And it doesn't seem like we're able to get too much time of like, absolute no craziness going on. It's almost like we just got like rushed right into it immediately. And I mean, in the beginning, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a lot. But I mean, I think every day I'm becoming more and more grateful for the opportunity to really see like who my partner is, and also just to show who I am, like, and what I can contribute. Just really holding each other down through it all. I mean, it's been a very, very challenging experience, but also very rewarding too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
I know my husband did a great job at that. I think all I have to add is really getting to see him grow through this, even with losing his job. He took that as a chance to say, what's next? What are we going to do? How are we going to build for 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when there is no COVID or when we have a vaccine? How are we going to come out of this better than we went into it? And that was great seeing my husband show that to me. So I knew I married an amazing person, and I'm glad that I get to see that really in action during our first year of marriage.
For us, I would have to say no change. Everything is status quo. But I will say that we've had to become better strategists. We had to strategize our forecast for our future better. So we had to come together on basically just getting a better understanding of what our plans are for the future. Children, college, and when graduating high school, and it has an adverse effect with the colleges shutting down and the schools shutting down, and everything's done at home, and no one's leaving, and so we had to better strategize what our plan was and ensure that we reinforced it and ensure that things were set in place so that they could still go through and still come to pass. What we wanted to see happen, what we wanted to take place. Making minor adjustments to say, okay, well, now instead of waiting longer to do A, we can do it soon. Same plan, just changing the time frame up. And so we were able to better strategize our plan as far as the future is concerned.
That's good. Mm-hmm. That's good. if I can just detour just for a second, the one thing that has gotten very interesting, but I love it, is having grown children at home.
Wow.
Somebody loves it.
I love it. It's a little testy at times, but it is interesting because I don't think we've spent that much time together, you know, in a long time. You know, it's different when they were babies, but now we got children that are, you know, they're grown. And we got one that's almost grown. And so they all have their own opinions, own perspectives. They want to do it their way. And man, it is interesting. And so the one thing I would say, if you have grown children in your house, you got to show a lot of patience and you got to have a lot of prayer. Amen. And so, yeah, a united front. United front. And that, see, and knowing that we have that many different perspectives in the house, that makes our connection, our union that much more strong.
It does make it strong.
You know, because sometimes it almost feels like us against them. Right? But I love my children. They are grown. I love them. They have their own mind. I'm seeing my daughter. She is a strategist. She loves to get out there and this walking and protesting. She is all in. So that's a whole nother dynamic. While my son is PS4, Xbox One, you know, game enthusiast, and so and the other one is cell phone. And so it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic.
Okay, before we go any further, we had a couple people chime in on how long they've been married. Mother Gamboa, 34 years. Oh. Mr. Wanda Marbury, 43 years at the end of June.
All right.
Cassandra Barber, 51 years. All right, question 3. What was one of the most happiest memories of your marriage, and what were the reasons you think it was happy?
Does it have to be during the marriage, or could it have been before?
I got one.
It could be during the marriage. It could be right before the marriage. It could be the happiest memory that made you say, that's the one for me.
I would have to speak up on that one. I have to say, tell y'all. I mean, brother was seeking. Yeah. I was seeking not who I could devour, but who I could make my own. Talk about it. You understand what I'm saying? Talk about it. And so we crossed, Sister Regina and I crossed paths. And the day we crossed paths, I posed the question, hey, you want to go hang out with me? Yeah. No, I got a babysit, and I got this, and I got that. Oh, come on, just okay, we ain't got to go anywhere. We can just go right here in town, just go hang out for a couple minutes. Well, I don't know. Come on, just a little while. Okay. Damn, that right there, that okay? Happiest moment. Because that right there wrote our future. We've been together ever since.
That's right. That's good.
That was right before.
That was before the marriage. But I had to lock it.
All right.
Clank, clank, clank.
In comparison to what you say, my brother, mine was late Saturday evening at a club. I walked past a young lady so close because I was captivated by her appearance. And I walked past her. She looked over her shoulder at me like, how you walk that door? And when the music kicked in, I asked her one simple question. And she said, sure. Why not? And we've been dancing ever since.
Oh, that's so cute.
Y'all want to go over there in Indiana?
Sure. I guess since we've only been married 11 months. I guess if we're talking about in the confines of our marriage, maybe our wedding night or wedding day. It was amazing. I was asleep on the wedding night, but on the wedding day it was beautiful. We got to be with all the people that we love, and sharing that love with them. And I think that was the best start to our marriage. What about you? The same?
Yeah.
So that's what we'll go with.
That's good. That's good. I think for me, it was, I have a couple. But the first one was, because my wife is somebody, you have to know Yvette. Yvette always has an answer, right? You rarely see her out of sort, you know. And so I would say for me, when she said she would marry me, it's that day of the marriage. When I saw her coming down the aisle, she was looking like a deer in headlights. Like, what? I do it. Remember that thing? She was like, ooh wee. And so, and I was just looking at her. I was like, thank God, we made it to this point. And so that was a blessing for me. And I knew she would be a wonderful wife. The Lord had already told me that she was going to make a wonderful mother. And that's my second moment. So my first moment was my wife getting married to her. My daughter we had a child. And so she didn't want to have any children, not for the fact that she didn't want to have any, but bring them into such a crazy world. Mm-hmm. And so we had Janae. Oh my goodness. Love of my life, still is. What blessed me is when I said, we got to have another one. She said simply, okay. That blessed me. There was no fight. There was no argument. She knew it just couldn't be one. Had to be at least two. And so that, when she said that let me know that she was all in on family, and I couldn't do nothing to hurt that. And I had to make sure that she was always protected in whatever is going on in my life. So that blessed me. That blessed me.
Okay, so the question was in the marriage, and you guys went back to before the marriage.
That's right.
So let's get back on track. Can somebody let go the wheel of the car? and let's get to something in your marriage that's been the happiest time of your life. Before we go with that, I can say, for me, I know my wife doesn't want me to say anything, but there's a picture above on our wall that we took on a cruise. And I think that was the happiest time I've ever been with her.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I'll have to say mine was during our marriage, the birth of my last son. And I asked her, could we name him after my father? Which was important to me. My dad's my hero. And she said, sure, why not? And that's it. That just flipped the script for a brother. That was it. That was important to me.
Mm-hmm. I have a couple.
Shoot.
A couple of them. One I remember because I found a love letter that our crew wrote me back in 2005. That's 15 years ago. And I read it and just smiled and almost cried to think that nothing has changed. All the things that he said and spoke about in our marriage in 2005 still goes on to this day. And I just said, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. He did it. God did it. And I couldn't give the credit to me or nothing I did or our quilt. It's simply because we started out with him in the middle, in the center, as a foundation, and it's been blessed. Mm-hmm. I don't have any hard time stories or anything like that. That love letter reminded me we're still in the middle of that love letter. Mm-hmm. So that was just recent. So that was a happy moment for me.
All right, that's a blessing.
Richardson.
Okay.
happy moments, lots of happy moments, honestly. But that's funny, Gina, you would bring that up because during this quarantine, one of the first things, the first week, I was trying to put everybody on a organizational thing. And I was getting on everybody's nerves, throwing stuff out and, moving stuff and cleaning stuff and what have you. And I found a huge box, I can tell you, full of stuff, notes you had written, letters. I have every card. I have napkins with notes on it, all kinds of stuff. That was really emotional time for me. I was in the room by myself. I didn't share that, but that was one. But the other big one, one of the big ones was when I had that car accident and the car flipped over. And I was there by myself without paramedics, and I was in the trauma unit. And for some reason, there was this disconnect, and there was things going on with me that I didn't understand. I kept saying, why are they running around like this? What is the problem? And they kept saying, she can't speak. And I was like, I'm talking to you. So it was a very scary moment. And somehow the officer who was on scene got in there and they were like, can you tell us anything? Because she's not speaking. And I was like, what is wrong with these people? I thought I was speaking. And he got in touch with Michael, and Mike got to the hospital, and I had the only car we had at that time. But he got to the hospital, how I don't know. And he kept trying to tell them my wife is in there. And they were taking me, and I was pregnant with Janae, and we were rolling down the hallway. And I heard them say, you can't go in there, you can't go in there. This man burst through, came running down the hallway, screaming, that's my wife. And I finally, he came and he stood by my side, and I looked in his face, and he had this look like it was so reassuring. And immediately my blood pressure started coming down. And then because they were about to take me in to do something. And I kept telling them, no, I'm pregnant. And then finally my blood pressure started coming down and everything calmed down. And I realized at that moment that he truly, it was another sign of he is the husband that he's supposed to be for me. He was that protector at that moment. It was very, very calming, peaceful, and happy moment for me. And I remember that moment.
Wow. Hey, turn around, you gonna make me cry.
Well.
Amen.
What? I don't have them. We've had a lot of moments.
Okay.
We've done a lot of great things together. We've traveled together. There's I think a couple of weeks ago, you and all the grandchildren took your picture and all that. Those are the moments. Mm-hmm.
I think my moment is the mornings that we, especially during this pandemic, that when we wake up and she's not awake, and I love to just mess with her, and she loves her sleep. So, but I start kissing on her and everything, all that. And she don't get alone. But it's I love that. I love that. And I love the fact that when I wake up before her and I look at her, it's a blessing to have the wife that I have. And I'm reassured of that every single day, every day. And that's a blessing.
Amen. Okay, and else?
I'm like, it's been like 11 months. I have to say the moments that I'm thankful for are the small moments where we're sitting in bed and we're both reading a book, and I just look over at him and I'm just blessed to have him. And also I love his mind. Like when I look at what he's engaged with, in those moments, what he's reading, I'm always like, I fell in love with such an intellectual, like beautiful, emotional man. So those are the sweet moments, the small things when we're reading or watching a movie that really make me happy.
I think for me, it's but I feel like most of my best moments are usually coming usually when I'm watching her, same thing almost, like doing just whatever. Sometimes it is when she's just sleeping, or sometimes she'll just like sometimes she'll just be doing work, whatever. Like, and then since day one, even before I like really liked her like that, I've always liked the way she's worked, and I just, you know, it's just something to see. It's just something to experience for me, and I just fall in love every single time I'm able to see her in her element and to see her being her true self. I mean, I think that I'm incredibly blessed to you know, be her husband and have the opportunity, like, you know, every day to see her pure self, and I just, you know, it's a wonderful experience. It really is.
All right. Right here. Right here. Next question. Can you honestly say, I love you without requiring anything to change? Do you think you would ever waver on that? Example is, I love you, but can you please be more considerate?
I will say, yes, I can honestly say that, because it wouldn't matter if I did want him to change, he wouldn't. 34 years. We've been doing this a long time. He is who he is. He's going to be who he's going to be. And that's fine. He's been a good guy, and he will continue to do that. And so when I want things to change, I ask for them, and sometimes I get them, and sometimes I don't. But you're not going to ask a person to truly change their personality. They're going to be who they are. So you learn to get used to it.
I would have to chime in and say exactly what you're saying. You grow to love someone because of who they are. Mm-hmm. I love your shortcomings and your idiosyncrasies and the little glitches. I love that about you. So that's why I chose to marry you. So do I want you to change? No. Now, if you been unruly and extra, I'm gonna need you to knock that all the way off. Other than that, no, you be the person you are. Because I want to love you continually for who you are. I want you to love me continually for who I am. I don't want you to relationship expecting to change me.
Right.
Make me someone else and someone that I'm not. Okay, so now we're working on falsehood. Okay, so we can't do that. I want you to say the person you are, I'm the person I am. We'll grow together. There you go.
That's real good. That's real good.
Actually, I would say that when you go into a marriage, it's best to expect change, because when you were individuals and your experiences molded this person and the experiences molded this person, you became that person. But when you start to become one, there's a whole new experience. So things change, and sometimes prayerfully it changes you, so that you learn to be a part of one, which means that there are some things you used to do, or some things that you used to have, habits or what have you, that have to come off. True, absolutely, because it doesn't support the unit. So we should expect change that makes us one. Does that make any sense? Yes.
Yeah. Well said.
But with that, I'm just not expecting you, if you never picked up your socks, to miraculously. Not miraculously. But if I say to you, that really gets under my skin. Can you help me with that? Or is there a reason to try to understand? I mean, we go real deep with that. There's a reason why that has to be that way. We've been there. We've been there. I'm like, that whole screaming and hollering and carrying on, not effective. But if it's like, help me understand. Do you like them there? Or do I need to give you a box, a dresser, a hanging unit or something? Can we make it deep? Or just is there a reason? And then if it's like, nah, this bothers me one bit. Oh, great, because it bothers me. So now we get an understanding, and we're talking about this thing, if it's that deep, and you'd be like, you know what, that was bothersome. We'll change that.
I'm gonna change that because it bothers her. I love her enough to change that. But that's not a personality thing.
That's true.
That's a habit thing.
We all have to make them just when it comes to habits, like you said.
That's true.
Yes.
If it's not part of the unit, the dynamics of the relationship, it brings destruction to it, and let it go.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it covers a lot of boundaries, very simple boundaries. When we first started cohabitating and Robin was cooking, at that stage of my life, I was a ketchup freak. So I put ketchup on everything. Robin would look at me and go like, "You." And I had to understand that insulted her for what she was doing for me. And as I backed, I said, okay. So I stopped putting ketchup over everything so she wouldn't think, you don't like my food, so you covered up with ketchup. And I got to the habit now, I don't put much anything on anything to taste the food. So you make adjustments. You say, okay, no, I won't do that. Because if it rubs the person you claim you love the wrong way, then you have to make some adjustments. Some kind of way. Yeah, because you have to be considerate of it.
Record this time.
Wrong, you gotta go, okay. All right, let me make some changes. And you make the changes. You gotta work at it, but you make it.
That's good. The Randolphs?
I feel like I'm still a little bit of a fusser. I'm not gonna lie. I think we're still early on. So I yell about the socks. I'll throw the socks on the roof. Like, you didn't want them. They was on the floor. I do agree that as we become one, we have to learn to adjust. And concede on things. I like things my way. I'm 100% like that. Like, I want it my way, and that's it. And I'm trying to grow and learn to let my husband have his way sometimes. So it's a little bit of a growth spot for me. I'll speak for myself. It's a little bit of a growth spot. But I definitely love him for who he is, and I'm trying to get adjusted to some of the things that are not my favorite.
And I think that the important thing is, kind of like that getting into it, like saying that you love a person. It's almost taking on that, being there with them, like whenever they do. I don't know, when you're just like growing with them, and then it's also like getting into the relationship, expecting the changes to happen. And it's just that unconditional love. It's like, whether you change or whether you don't change, like, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to love you. It's going to be, it's going to be the same intensity. Like, we may have to recalibrate some things, like change the way that we're communicating, or like, however, like, we're like really like figuring things out. But it's always going to be there. The effort's always going to be there. And that's a given. Like, that's one thing that's a non-negotiable. Like, we'll always be there.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna keep it 100. There are times when I don't want to hear what my wife has to say. I'm just being honest. I don't want to hear it, and I think I know what I'm doing. And she'll come in with a whole nother way of looking at it. And the thing that gets me the most, brothers out there, listen to me carefully. Most times your wife is right.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to swallow my pride and come back and say, you know what, she's right. Let's take the cleaning thing. Come to find out, I don't like to be messy either. After a while, I'll start cleaning up, and she'll say, "Oh, you want me to clean up?" And it's just something where, we have to swallow our pride and understand that being the head of the house does not mean that you have to do everything. It doesn't have to always go your way.
Right.
And it also means that if any problems break out in your house, that you are responsible for solving them, even if it requires you to shut up.
That's it.
And do what's best for your family. And so, because we all have our disagreements, we all have our ways of doing things. Yes, we're one, but I still do things the way I think I should do them, she'll come along and say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you looked at this? And I would say, honestly, I'll say no. And then I'll get mad when she starts giving me feedback. But then after I think about it, I'll say, okay, she's right. So she has learned, and this is what I tell a lot of couples. She has learned to give me information at a rate that I can receive it. Mm-hmm. So she tells me something, and she don't beat me over the head with it. She don't slam me with it. She don't hit me in the jaw with it. She don't, she not beating me up with it. She just gives me information at a rate. I need more.
Deliverance is real.
But it's real. It's real. And so she is a strong-willed person, but she has learned through Christ how to allow me to be the head, and taught me, the Lord has taught me how to be the head, so that we work together. And so it's still, you never stop learning. As we're teachers. As teachers know you never stop learning. You keep on keeping on, and you learn something new, so that your marriage continues to get better. So
also choose your battle. Choose your battle, because some things are not even worth arguing about. It's like, all right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't profit to go through all this to turn around and go, okay. Go ahead. It's good.
That's maturity.
Just go ahead.
That's maturity. That's maturity.
She'll ask me, do you want to do so and so? And sometimes I don't. But if it's gonna make her grin, sure, let's do it. I'm with you. Come on.
That's maturity.
That's it.
That's maturity. Something. You don't want to die on the heel. Some things ain't worth dying on the heel for. That's true. You just learn how to go along with it, because if it's going to keep your marriage in the lane that it's supposed to be in, then you're going to have to learn how to operate in that lane, so that I want her to be happy. Mm-hmm. If she's not happy, I'm not happy. It's hard for me to preach if we're arguing. It's hard for me to do anything in the ministry if we're not on the same level, if we're not with one accord. And I understand that's my responsibility. So I'll go back and say, hey, you know what, we got to fix this. Because she'll get to a point, she'll walk away and be like,
I'm working on that.
So it's one of those things where, in order to do what I got to do for the Lord, in order to make sure that the people are blessed, I got to make sure my house is blessed. Charity begins at home.
Yes, it does.
So that's extremely important.
Okay. We have a question from one of our viewers.
All right.
Sister Farrah Sargent. She says, what are some things? Actually, we have two questions, but Sister Nora, we have your question, one of our questions here, so we will address that one. The one from Sister Farrah is, what are some things you do to stay in love?
Ooh. Date and have fun.
Yes.
Date and have fun.
Spontaneity.
Go on vacation without the kids.
The Lido day.
Laugh
together.
Laugh about stuff.
Laugh at each other without being offended that they're laughing.
You know what I'm saying? They've been laughing at me for the last 5 days. They've been on my head. I've been the butt of the joke for a long time. Last 126 hours.
Don't feel bad, because I have the nickname you goofy. And when I was coming up, goofy was a fight word. You get that. I had to understand that all she was saying was that she was amused at the things I do. And it's all right. If I get you to laugh, that's 90% of the battle, right?
That's it.
That's true.
All those things, and pray together. Pray together. Pray for one another. Pray for one another. It makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
That's a flirt.
Oh, watch out now.
Hey, I'm a firm believer, and most of us are. You gotta remind one another why you.
Yep.
Why you around? You need to remind one another that every now and then. I put up the weight. I got two of them joints. I mean, I'm not tripping. But she loves me just the same, if not more. And I love her just the same, if not more. So all the other stuff doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what other people think. That's my wife. So, you know, I reassure her that I love every inch, every bit, every curve. It's mine. Keep on keeping on.
That's right. That's good.
It's a little warm in here. It's a little warm.
Oh yeah, I think it does. I guess date nights and I don't know, like.
No, I mean, I think flirting is a good one. I mean, that's real. I mean, especially if you're very like vocal about like stuff like that. I mean, like don't hold nothing back. I mean, like especially like behind closed doors and everything. It's like sometimes even in public, just like let them know, remind them. I mean.
I'm a bad flirt, so let's not make it down. That's not how we got together. I did not flirt. But yeah, I agree.
That's good. Okay. Moving on. I'm going to go to Randall's first question. Back on that table. Question. Have you help your spouse become more spiritual, and if so, what way?
Oh yeah. Our speaker was a little bit low. It's something we still need to work on if we're being 100.
Yeah. We saw the question. We were actually really curious to know what the more experience a couple their feedback on this one.
He wants to hear what we have to say.
Oh,
okay. It's interesting. When I became the pastor of the church, my wife made a very, very strong comment, and I didn't get offended by it. I didn't get offended. I didn't get mad. I didn't get upset because it was an honest comment, and it was from the heart. She said, "If I'd known you was going to become a preacher or a pastor, we probably wouldn't have gotten married because she's when she's all in, she's all in." And so, but here's the thing, though. When I became pastor, she is my biggest fan. She is my biggest advocate. Outside of Jesus, she holds me up. She helps me, get it done. And when I feel like I'm ready to, just get on the 14 and keep driving, it's like, nah, you gotta keep going. So, yes, in a lot of ways, she has helped me become not more spiritual, but consistent in my walk to make sure I don't walk off the edge. And because that's important. That you have somebody that pulls you back from the edge, because sometimes ministry and working with people all the time will push you to the absolute edge. And she pulls me back from that. She actually would say, I need you at home when you got to be at home. And when our children are little, and my daughter would remind me, Dad, hey, what's going on? Where you at? My wife would say, you need to be home. When I was home, it wasn't Pastor, it was Michael. It was Mike, you still got to take the trash out. Mike. Didn't that change? And so, yeah, she is, in a way, kept me grounded. And, it's made being a pastor that much, not that it's easy, not for the faint of heart, but it's doable. You have the right person by your side. It's absolutely doable. Mm-hmm. So I thank God for my wife every day. Yeah. Amen.
I would have to say, I concur. She's helped me keep my walk consistent. Because you talk about that edge, and don't just walk to the edge. I mean, I'm don't put on a parachute, and I'm gone. And because we get what we do, and just being 100,
We get fed up. We get on your nerves.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, we in the ministry. Yeah, we doing this work. It's God's work. Yeah. Got that. But people get on your nerves. So in dealing with that, you have to have that sounding board. Talk about someone to, hey, where you at? Where you going? I could be out of the storage long. Where you at? Keep going. Where you at? Come on down. All right, away. So you have to have that, and she keeps me aligned. Like hey, we got such tonight. Really? I thought I forgot it, but you reminded me. And she helps me stay in line with that. What I need to be doing for Christ. Being the leader, being an example for my children, for my son, for those who are watching my every step. I have to continue to walk in the right direction, take the right steps. She assists me with that.
I'd say that we have exchanged times when we have kept the other connected. Right. When one was like, enough already, the other was solid. So come on back, don't go too far. Or even just, hey, there's this service. Do you want to go? Hey, that's what the church is doing. Oh, while you're watching that movie, did you watch your shoes? Because time to go. We've got somewhere to go. So yes, we have exchanged times where one has been more on board, more dedicated, more driven, and the other has been like, I could just stay here for 6 months or a year. There was a point, honestly, where I told Pastor, church is becoming like the job I want to quit.
Right.
And, I could quit, but somebody wouldn't let me quit. So, and vice versa. When we first came to the church, he was working night, and he would always say he's tired, he was this, but we come home to him watching football. But we went, and we came back, and hey, what happened? So-and-so asked about you. You think maybe next week you might want to go get some clothes on? So we encouraged each other and enjoyed God's spoke, back, headed in the right.
That's good. She jumped on board with me, and she said, "It's many times my work gets so twisted up in my head, remembering procedure and this, that, and come home, and some days I come home." And she says, aren't you going with Pastor so-so? Oh, okay. And I have to recalculate, you got a job to do. You said you would. You said you accepted. Oh, okay, let me get dressed. And I get dressed and get to work. She said, okay, let me know how y'all doing. Let me know when y'all get on the road. And it became more of, let me make sure all the points are covered. You know we're on the road. You know we're okay. Because, if you're out here in California, and Jazz, y'all know, that freeway can be a turmoil at the drop of a dime.
Right.
You look up on TV and you see flames and cars. And now your people that are all the way up here are going, where are people at? Right. So it kept me on track. And she supported me when I became a deacon. And she looked at me and says, "You need a new suit." I said, okay, let's go get you a new suit. Yes, ma'am, let's go get me a new suit. And went out there, and she spared no expense. And I was like, wow, she behind this. Okay. So the support is excellent. Yeah. It makes everything else easier to deal with when you know that you got somebody. Like they say, the home fires are burning, the camp is in line, and they are ready to support you should you need support. Right. That's a good thing. Good evangelist.
No, sir.
I want to go back to Randolph. Got a couple of information right there. Go ahead.
I did have a question more than an answer. So with everything that's going on, in a marriage, the day in, day out, also everything that's going on in the world, whether that's work, we don't have kids, maybe one day kids, whatever. how do you maintain your spiritual connection? I know you talked about kind of your wives or each other being kind of the thing that keeps you connected, but internally, like, how do you, I don't want to say find the time, because you can find the time to do anything, but how do you drive yourself to have that spiritual connection? Because I can speak personally, like, I love the Lord, I'm saved, I'm all that, but sometimes it feels hard. It's like with everything going on, you feel it's hard to want to connect, if I'm just being honest, if we're being 100 on here. So it's not anything about my love of the Lord or any of that, but it just feels like so much when I have no gas from just what's going on in the world. So I'd love to hear, how some of the seasoned saints do it.
Well, I took a lot of pride when Robin got on the trustee board. And I have to say, as Pastor said, First Lady's his biggest cheerleader. I was her biggest cheerleader. Mm-hmm. So when she was on the trustee board working, I really took a great love to say, yeah, go ahead. And in doing whatever she needed me to do to support her on the trustee board. You need me to go pick something up, you need me to do some paperwork. Tell me what I need to do. Well, we're going to meet at the house. Okay, let me make sure I straighten up the best I can and get out of the way so the trustee board can do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. Being in support.
I think she's asking how to personally maintain that. And it's relationship, Jazz.
Yeah.
So just like your relationship with your husband, you make that your priority. Mm-hmm. to establish and develop and grow, and you have to give it that same priority. So I know that there's work and all, but you have to prioritize what's important to you. So you have to give it that same level of priority. Mm-hmm. Hard, yes, absolutely. And I will say, when we were doing the prayer at 6:30 and 6:30, I struggled with, am I giving this prayer and this time a priority? But I had this very hectic schedule, and at work, I was on the prayer call. Running in the park, I was on the prayer call. So it didn't matter what else I had going on. I made sure that I made the time to get there. And you have to do that. You have to make the time to get there.
Can I chime in? This pandemic has made us all look at our relationship closer. Mm-hmm. We've taken inventory on what we've done in the past. And basically, you repent because we all feel inadequate when it comes to the relationship that we should have with God. And just like we nurture our husbands and our wives, our marriage, we have to intentionally nurture our relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And when we nurture that and we seek after Him intentionally, you may at first feel like, what am I doing? Why am I down on my knees? But if you let Him know your desire is to get like, I desire to stay in love with our quill. You have to have that desire. He'll see in your heart. You have a desire to maintain a relationship or to get to another level, and He will come in. It's nothing you have to do particular, but be available. Avail yourself, and during this time, that's what you have to do. If you're on your knees, praying, that's fine. But sometimes I have to talk to Him while I'm standing in the kitchen, while I'm driving down the street. It's intentional. It's like when we have a free moment, we call our husband or call our wife. When I have a free moment, and this is just, I talk to God. I talk to the Lord, and believe me, He'll direct you to do different things, to read His Word, and to just start to connect in all sorts of ways. We have everything at our disposal to learn about Him and get closer. So yes, and in doing that, the fear and the anxiety we have about with this pandemic will dissipate. He will give you a peace, and then start to tell you what it is you need to do for Him.
Right.
Did that answer your question?
That was critical point. Just like you love your husband and you nurture that relationship, nurturing that relationship is key. I just had a conversation earlier today with our youngest one, and I said, to be honest, there would be no Nehemiah without God. This bond is with God in it. It's almost like a triangle effect. He's there. Absolutely. He is absolutely there. So me being able to love him is based on what God being in it.
Right.
God being in it. That's the only way I can speak personally, get over things and love through things, knowing that, okay, the Lord has ordained this, and everything he has ordained for me is right.
Right.
Everything, his plan, everything he has in place for me is right. And I have to remember that when I made those vows, I took them seriously. And I do pray, Lord, I can't do this without you. When I do get upset or I have a disagreement or I'm thinking that I don't like what's going on, I can go to the Father about any issue I might be having here or here, whatever. I can go to the Father. Know that he's going to work that thing out because he's in this bond. He is absolutely in it. So either he's going to let me know, put a piece in me, or tell me, this is what's right and this is what's good for you, or I can trust him to bring about whatever change has to be. Just got to be open. That change might be me. That change might be in him. But whatever it is, God is in this bond. This is not just the Nehemiah show, the Nehemiah thing. It wouldn't survive.
Right.
It wouldn't survive.
You have to be careful right now. And the reason I say you have to be careful because you are an educated Black woman. And you have to be careful not to allow your education to infiltrate your faith. And because people will tell you things and they'll try to convince you of things, and really your relationship with God is based on faith.
Right.
And so what I do, I make sure I'm praying for my family, my church family, my children, all of them, all 5 of them, every morning and every night, that the Lord cover you. But at some point, you have to begin to develop that. Everything that everybody said is based on faith. There's a faith walk.
Right.
It's not going to always work out. What you think the way it should work out, but having faith that in God and knowing that it's going to work out for your good, and believing God through thick and thin, it takes practice.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not something that happens overnight. And what you have to be careful of, and I know it is happening to you, especially in this thing with the protests. You have a lot of people out there who are saying incorrect things about God existing. Right? We can't serve a white God. And they don't even know the history. They're looking at it from a European perspective. Well, in order for England and Europe to have Jesus, they moved the seat of power from the Middle East, near Africa, to where they are. So that's a whole history lesson. But you have to understand that this thing is bigger than anything we could ever know. It's going to take a matter of faith. You got to stay with it. You got to pray. You got to pray. You got to get in that word. And you're going to have to fight your flesh to not accept every wind of doctrine that you see on social media. And you guys have it so much worse than we did when we were at that phase where we were developing our faith, because we didn't have social media. Right? You guys have it at the tip of your fingers. And so if somebody say Jesus, at the next slide, when you swipe up, there's somebody else that's saying something else. And you have to fight that. You be like, no, I ain't going to listen to that. And I got people, I have purposely not unfriended people who believe differently. But every now and then I'll get on the line and argue with them, let them know your history is wrong. You're tripping. And I have to check them.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of walking with the Lord. It's a matter of staying in there. And don't allow yourself to give in to every wind of doctrine. You have to be careful not to allow your education to influence you away from God.
Yeah.
Because they try and explain everything. And then the Bible talks about all that. Agnostics, that's who agnostics were. People who were trying to use education to explain God. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do that. And so we get a chance to talk because I know it's a struggle. And I know my wife and I going to college, she was faced with that. Philosophy classes and people trying to, they would say God don't exist and all this other stuff. No, it's a matter of faith. So faith walk.
Mm-hmm.
So
Amen. Moving on. Real good discussion on. Trying to come down a little bit and Pastor, you loved it a little bit. I have a question from the viewers.
all right.
They say, how do you learn not to be so dominant in your marriage when you're a humble person?
You got to re-explain that. Say that again.
How do you learn not to be so dominant in a marriage?
Oh.
And they're a humble person.
Oh, your spouse is a humble person?
Yes.
No one here can answer that.
You do that.
It's a bunch of strong
You do that by first taking a look at the situation and who you're dealing with. I'm going to use myself as a perfect example. The Marine Corps taught me to handle things a certain way. But when you're talking to somebody who's not military, okay, you have to throttle that back. You have to throttle that dominance back and allow them to take the lead. And when I say allow, I don't mean because you're going to take the lead from them, but listen to them. Let them say what they got to say. In some cases, just say, do what you do and I'm going to follow. Because to be a good leader, you have to be able to follow. You have to be able to follow. And from a husband-wife perspective, the world has always said, husband takes the lead, husband makes a decision, husband. No, Sometimes you have to stop and say, you know what? Do what you do. I trust what you're doing. I believe in what you're doing. And do it. I'm not worrying about nothing else. You got this. Go ahead. Because if you trust them, letting them take the lead shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
If the situation calls for it, you got it. Go for it. You sure? Yeah, go for it. You got it. I trust you. So now I'm not tripping over the fact that you're leading this situation.
Mm-hmm.
When we go on vacation, do you know who plans our vacation? This one right here. I don't even say, we're going to so-and-so. Okay, we're going to so-and-so. It's not worth even back and forth. Oh, yeah, okay, we're going. Because I trust that she's chosen something that's going to be good for both of us. It's not just about her and what she wants. It's both of us.
I think you have to have a willingness to relinquish that self-control.
Yes, sir.
You're the head, I'm the man of the house. Okay, but she has full 100% control of everything. Let's say, hey, that thing that's to be modified, but 95% of it is all her.
You go.
Mm.
And if I were to speak about a particular thing, she has a problem with it going the direction that I want it to go, or do it the way I want to do it. So it's a give and take. So in your relationship, you work, you take whatever that you have, you let me have, and we both have. It's not a problem. But if you have one that's just taking, in that dominant role, that dominant position, I always want to be in control. You're unequally yoked. It's not about that's not love.
No, that's not love.
Yeah. That's a control.
I was also
person is so dominant that they're not considering the other person. There's a problem. But if you recognize, that you're the dominant one, then it's kind of on you to be able to, your leader, then you could lead the other person into, okay, so what do you think? Hear what they have to say first. You have to change the way you do things.
Right.
So when there's a decision to be made or it's real simple, you can say, oh, you know what? What do you think? Hear them first. And that will start to, take their input first. That might help you, if you're whoever the dominant one is, to change your behaviors. I think it's a part of growing as one.
Right.
You've got to respect the experiences and knowledge base and skill base of the other one.
Right.
You are not in control. And you don't have all the answers.
Right.
And if God is in it, He put you together because there was some lack somewhere to make that one. And you got to respect what God put together. He gave you something.
Right.
And if you're the dominant one and you're not receiving something from the other one, God help you. You missing your blessing.
Exactly.
Absolutely missing.
I believe the Randolphs had a take on that.
Oh, I was just pretty much going to kind of say what my mom was saying. Be open to what the other has to say. Also be open to doing something a different way. You might be used to doing it, the way that you've learned. Like Uncle Eric said, like in the military, he was used to how that went down. But your partner was raised how they were raised, and they have a way of doing things. So like my mom was saying, trusting your partner, respecting your partner, and knowing that they're not going to drop the ball. Because I think a lot of that controlling aspect comes from thinking that nobody can do it as good as you can. Like nobody can take care of the situation. If you married somebody who you believe is capable, I'm hoping folks marry folks who they think are capable of doing things. And you just have to trust your partner. It may look different, but I mean, if the same, outcome comes out of it, then that's okay.
On that same subject, we have a question for our viewers. So how do you communicate when the other person is unwilling to at the time? Do you hold your feelings in?
Well, communication is something that's it's a two-way street. Communicating, so I'm talking, you're talking, goes back and forth. If one person is either not talking or refusing to talk or refusing to be receptive to what the other person is saying, one person is just talking, the other one's just listening. That's not communicating. So communication goes both ways. And if you have an individual that's refusing to communicate, short of prayer, you might need to seek outside assistance. Give somebody a call. A lot of our jobs offer counseling. We have a pastor that's willing. We have a first lady that's willing. But no one can help if you don't open your mouth and say something. So if you're just going through, dealing with it. Yeah, that's called pressure cooker.
Yeah.
With no relief valve. And what happens?
It blows up.
It explodes.
Yeah, I think people sometimes I think pride gets in the way and we don't seek help or assistance or whatever it is. But the Bible tells us to seek wise counsel. It definitely tells us to seek wise counsel. And a lot of that, sometimes when we're talking to people, we go seek that counsel. When you go for that counsel, you're getting strategies to use to open up that line of communication. Sometimes you come and you sit, just from experience, from talking to people, they come and they say, here's a problem, and this and that, blah, 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 blah. And you say to them, okay, so what do you do when they don't talk? So I just don't. Okay, that's one of the roadblocks we have to consider. It could be you. So we might need to discuss things that you're doing and open up some strategies that you can do. You have to remember, you can only control you. And if the other person won't speak, to understand why they won't speak is the first thing. And it might be you. We got to be approachable.
That's true.
Well,
we talked about love earlier, and so when you say you love somebody, love gives, lust takes.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with somebody and you say you love them, you simply have to go to the Bible. You just go to 1 Corinthians 13:4, and it says, "Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself.
Yes.
Is not puffed up. Does not behave rudely.
Mm-hmm.
Does not seek its own. Is not provoked. Thinks no evil. Does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. And so that rejoices in the truth is so important, because if the other person has something you don't have and they have the truth and they can give it to you and you don't want to hear it, and can you truly say that you love that person? I love her enough to listen to her, even if I have to walk off and come back. It does not excuse what the truth is.
It's true.
And so that's what, if you're dealing with somebody that's not going to listen to you, that's a serious problem. And if you're married, you need to get some serious attention to that. If you're not married, you need to take a real hard look at that, because that's something that's right now is small, but it'll be a meteorite about 5 years into your marriage, 3 years into your marriage, it'll be a problem. And so that's something you got to address it. You got to humble yourself. And then I'll say this, because for church, you got to work to have the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost will tell you to shut up and listen. The Holy Ghost will tell you when you're wrong. The Holy Ghost will convict you, let you know when you off on the deep end. Shut up, get this thing right. Let your wife talk. She knows better than you in this instance. And if you say you love your wife, the Bible says the husband love your wife even as Christ loved the church and gave his life for her. So I got to put her on a pedestal. She's my Proverbs 31 woman. Mm-hmm. And so you have to listen, even if it makes you feel it. Listen, if you feel uncomfortable, that's a good thing. That's a great thing to feel uncomfortable, because that means you're growing. Mm-hmm.
Amen. Question. What is your secret for making marriage work along with?
It's no secret. Ain't no secret. Right?
Ain't no secret.
It's the Father.
Yeah.
It truly is. Going by the precepts of this word, figuring out, seeing yourself in this word, and asking, the Lord to fix what's not right, take out what's not right. It's no secret. It's all the Father and doing it the way He set out for it to do it His way. His way.
And have a determination to be married. Have a determination. Temptation gonna come for men and women, from every side, from every situation. But are you determined to be married?
Right.
And if you're determined to be married, then you say, Lord, have your way. You be in the middle of this, and help me love my wife, or help me love my husband, woman, to her man. And so yes, gotta have the Lord. There is no secret. It's every day. The Bible is so consistent. It tells us, do not look towards tomorrow. Take care of today. Mm-hmm. Love. I gotta love her today, because I may not wake up tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Today. We can make future plans, but make sure you take care of today. Mm-hmm. Make sure you do everything you can do today to show that you love that person. That's what creates longevity. And if we both came into this saying that we ain't get married no more, it's gonna work. It's gotta work. It's it. And so that's been a blessing for us. That's been a blessing for us.
Anyone else want to chime in?
Yeah, I think a big secret would definitely be. I can't, obviously we can't speak in terms of like long term. I mean, we're clearly the shortest term, but I mean, I think what's been working for us so far, and I think it's just going to be like an everlasting. No, that's not the word before. Something. It's going to be an everlasting thing in our relationship. It's always going to be communication, and that's always being open to like what the other person has to say. Going in different situations, not assuming you know everything, and just really just always being open, always being receptive, just humbling yourself, and just knowing that that may always look different. But I mean, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're confused, whatever, it's always gonna communication is always gonna be the core of that. And I mean, I don't think I've learned the hard way. There's nothing too big or too small to communicate. I mean, you're only it's only gonna be good for you, So I mean, I think just really always polishing that is gonna be one of your number one tools.
Good. That's good, Wesley.
Man.
All right. Okay. Our time is kind of winding down. We have a couple more questions, and then we have something we want to show. First question comes from our YouTube live page.
Wow.
I'm not sure if it's freely asked, but how do you know as a single person when you are ready to be married?
I'll go since I was I just got married, so I was single, I guess, unmarried. I mean, legally I was single. I think the time that I knew that I was ready to get married is really when I realized that I was willing to, one, compromise with my husband, be open to other people's opinions, specifically my husband, and also willing to grow with somebody. I met him when I wasn't really looking to be with somebody, and I think that through that I learned that I didn't want to be without him in my life, that he added something to my life, that when he wasn't there, it felt like something was missing, that I wasn't a better person. He made me feel like I could be whoever it is I needed to be, whether that's happy Jasmine, sad Jasmine, crazy Jasmine. I found somebody who let me be exactly who I was, and that's kind of specific to me. I've always been kind of searching in this world for folks who let me be who I am, whether that's my family or my loved ones. So when I found Wesley Randolph, he kind of filled in all those gaps for me. Also, when you're ready to be married, you're ready to stop your foolishness. If you know you're out in the street doing wrong, don't tie somebody down. That's not right. So be ready to put that on the table, let that go. That's a really big one. So if you still out doing foolishness, don't do that. Don't subject somebody to having to deal with that in a marriage.
That's right.
Yeah, big one is really just the things that you're willing to, it's almost it just hits you. You know that you're willing to become you're prepared to become you're prepared to become the best version of yourself. You're prepared to work towards the best person of yourself with someone. And it's like a partnership. You're just ready to be a part of that. Something that you're always you're gonna grow on, something you're gonna grow with, good, bad, or ugly, and I'm just ready. It's such a weird thing. I mean, I don't know, but it's.
It kind of washes over you a little bit, for us.
Yeah. It's almost like an invisible force. I mean, you could almost call that the divine nature of it that's propelling you toward that person, toward your next calling in your life, and the next. I mean, for hopefully, the lifetime. So this is the rest of your life, and it's just pushing you there. It's you don't know where it's coming from, but it's there.
We're clearly still on the honeymoon stage.
One more question, and it can be directed to the Randolphs and they're the newest ones, the wet behind the ears. But it can be open to the panel as well. When you're going from dating to marriage, what was the hardest thing you had to compromise going into marriage?
When you're going from dating to marriage?
Yes. What was the hardest thing? The hardest thing you had to compromise?
Clearing my decisions with somebody else.
Oh, yes.
We're just talking about
Words right out.
Considering somebody else's position before just doing what I wanted.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I agree.
I was the only child. It was a struggle. I had to learn the hard way. Not just you, man. Robin said that. Yes, exactly. Yes. Learning how to think about somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Bill, would you like to chime in with that as well?
I guess mine was kind of the same. I had to not be in charge. Let them
and let our crew be the man. Because I was very strong. I was making my own money, doing my thing, all the shots, and I had to give up that shot call. And you know, it was a team now. Just my show. That was, it took a little bit of doing. I was so used to being independent. That was probably the hardest. I was very independent and very strong. Jesus was just coming into my life then, and I had to put up guns. I had to put it all down. It's real tough.
Randolph.
As my godparents can definitely attest to, I do what I want to do, for the most part. Sometimes to my detriment when I was a youngin'. So when Robin said, learning to have to not ask, but consult with your husband about what you want to do, that was a little rough. It still is. So I'm growing. Pray for us. Pray for me. So that's the biggest thing, is just learning to consult with my husband. Make sure, I bought something on Amazon a week ago. I thought I told him. Apparently I didn't. We don't know. There's no receipts. So, but learning to talk to him and not be the leader all the time. Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah. What's he saying?
Learn it, brother.
Good job. We're done with the question and answers. Right now we have something we looked up. I looked up. It's called 4 basic biblical principles for communication and Christian. I'm going to read all 4 and give you scriptures on them, and you guys can chime in as needed. And then after that, we'll close it out. We'll turn it over to Pastor Rich. First one: treat your spouse as you would wish to be treated. And that is coming from Matthew 7:12. Therefore, whatsoever you want others to do for you, also the same for them. Number 2, keep prayer at the heart of your marriage. And 1 Thessalonians 5:17 tells us that you pray without ceasing. Number 3, and this is a big one, practice forgiveness. Ephesians 4:32 tells us, and be ye kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sakes, has forgiven you. And the final one, number 4, take time to listen. And that's coming from James 1:19-20. It tells us, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, we come to the end here. I know we took a long time, but here's the thing. Here's the thinking behind this. We know that during this pandemic, you have to deal with the people in your house. And if you're married, that means that your marriage is going to either progress or it's going to hit the rocks. We don't want anybody hitting the rocks. We want everybody to keep going forward and reach for the sky. And so we took a little time. We know it's just a couple hours, and we thank you for just tuning in and just being with us during this time. And so I want to thank Elder Ray for conducting such an excellent session. Amen. Thank God for the butlers. Amen. Thank God for the sales family. And thank God for Jasmine and Wesley, amen, Randolph, all the way out there in Indiana. And so we love them, amen, and we thank God for them. And so it's just, listen, we're going to be back again next week. Again, this is our first time out the gate. We're novices at this, but we thank God for you tuning in, and we're going to come back again next week and do something a little different. But here we are, and we hope you enjoyed it. We hope it blessed you, and we're going to get ready to pray out, and then we'll be going. Amen. Amen. Father God, we thank you. We bless you. We hope that the words of our mouth were pleasing in your sight, that your word go forward, be in the middle of relationships. We understand that during this pandemic, people have to work to get closer. So Lord, open up hearts and minds. Allow them to be able to work with each other in the name of Jesus. We thank you for your love and kindness and your tender mercies. In Jesus' name, we pray. Thank God. Amen.
Amen.
Love y'all. There's nothing you can do about it. We see you real soon.
Before we go off air, once someone asks to get those 4 basic principles of Christian marriage, they will be on the GracePlace website in about a couple of hours. So for that person who asked that question, they will be available there.
Amen. Again. Love y'all. Nothing you can do about it. We see you real soon.
Good night.
Bye.